I am so freaking unsettled after watching Uzumaki episode 2. Episode 1 is definitely more horrifying to me, something that made the hair on my arm stand up a lot more. Episode 2 had one moment that made the hair on my arm stand up, and honestly, probably harder than in episode 1, but episode 2 is more of a. It's an unsettling to the point I wanted to vomit. And that's not an exaggeration. There was maybe a fourth of the episode, I would say, especially surrounding the slug snail shit. Like, that was. Ugh. Just. Nah, bro. I didn't like that. But it's such a. Even just thinking of it just gives me the heebie freaking jeebies. Uzumaki is doing something that's so unique for the idea of horror storytelling. Rather than just collectively just having everyone be like, okay, zoinks, let's pull a Shaggy and Scooby-Doo and get the out of this damn town. The Spiral as a villain, an antagonist, an obstacle, is such an unknown because spirals can literally pop up anywhere, and seemingly, these spirals, I think, have quite literally a mind of their own, and the way they invade and they slowly corrupt the minds, the people who seemingly have the most "this ain't normal" reaction still are quite literally willing to live in this town. And to end the episode with this girl and her bro and I think his friend just charred like they were in Attack on Titan trying to deal with the Colossal Titan. Peak horror. I have full live reactions over on Patreon if you want to see my mind break in real time to this Uzumaki insanity over there exclusively. So, 2 more episodes to go. Short, sweet, to the point series. Interesting information was revealed in my comment section last week, which maybe some people don't know. So I guess in the manga, the way the chapters are structured, it's very disconnected. It's very almost like they kind of exist as like their own little stories, where with the anime it seems like they've reordered chapters to maybe give it a bit more of a coherent plot line, so it feels like things are more interlinked, which I think is appropriate. For a manga, I definitely like the idea of that, but for an anime, especially one airing on TV for such a wider audience, it definitely feels like this is the appropriate way to make it more digestible for such an unnerving, unholy series at the end of the day. So it's a very interesting choice they went with. And I know for some people they wanted more than 4 episodes, but I know there was some people saying that they felt last episode was fast-paced. No idea what people are saying about episode 2. I didn't get the impression of fast-paced. I got the impression of, I'm going through this freaking town and I want out already. Not in the way that I want to drop the show, but more than 4 episodes, goddamn. I'd need a pail next to me watching this shit. So I like how they're handling it, and I continue to love the production, the mixture of rotoscoping, what they've done with hand-drawn. So many of the stuff, like, often when you look at this show, I'm like, no, screw you. That shit be disgusting. But then sometimes I see spirals and I'm like, oh shit, am I just saying I like this shot because I'm slowly being hypnotized by the spirals, or because it's actually a really cool looking shot? Like when she was walking up the lighthouse, there was some cool looking shots, and then there was charred bodies. I was like, wait a second, maybe I shouldn't hype up this spiral staircase. I don't know. But it's kind of interesting because when you explain the idea of a spiral as an antagonist, it sounds so insane to say, because at the end of the day, how can a spiral be an antagonist? But from little moments like characters walking in a circle, granted walking in a spiral, but you get my point, it would be so easy, because the big thing about this episode was this girl, the hair went crazy. They started as curls and then it became Medusa. Rather than snakes trying to turn you to stone, it was spiral hair that would hypnotize you. And then this other girl got jealous, and then her hair challenged its hair, and it had a hair off to the point where it was just like, what the f am I watching? But you can see how spirals could easily destroy a town. Hell, they mentioned in this episode that the people who have the spirals and they get cremated, it gets thrown obviously into the air, the smoke, and then spirals form. There are so many ways for them to never escape this. The biggest mistake that the girl made after her hair got cut is that she didn't go for the Mr. Clean look. If you ever at some point somehow find your hair having a mind of its own, whether it becomes snakes, whether it becomes spirals, whatever it is, if you're able to get that initially off, you buzz cut that shit, you shave that shit, and then you find the nearest laser hair removal and you zap that shit, because there's no way I'm ever trusting my hair ever again. She had way too much trust in that process than I did. Some wild shit. But it is interesting though, because this is an antagonist that you don't know the limitations of. You understand the idea, you understand the concept. Anything that looks like a spiral could probably cause bad news. But we're dealing with the creepy dude who always came in wet. Turns out it wasn't really wet, it was slime. He turned into a slug. He then mated with another slug. I know they had a little issue with the teacher, like, stomping on the eggs. I was with the teacher there. Stomp on those eggs. So I would have used a baseball bat. I wouldn't have wanted to squish those with my feet, shoes or not. But yeah, screw those eggs. Absolutely not. We're dealing with, like, and I love the idea that the spiral's bigger than just at face value. A spiral of love. So you have these two kids wanting to run away. The girl's dad and grandpa, abusive pieces of shit. There's no other way to put that. They're trying to escape. They run away, or they attempt to. They're getting chased, and they're on the beach. And then he's like, basically like, you know, we're never going to be taken away. He twists, like at the start of the episode, like the snake. She twists, and I guess it's oddly romantic. I mean, at the end of the day, as weird as it is to say, they might have the best ending out of any character probably in this show. It did make the hair on my arms stand up, but the idea of how they twisted it and then just sank away in the ocean. I ain't swimming in this world. I ain't looking at anything in this world. I'm closing my eyes and walking. There was a dude, they called him Jack in the Box. Honestly, I thought it was kind of cute that he was trying to give her a Jack in the Box. You know what? Props to the dude. Had he not been truck-cooned, he might have had a shot, to be honest, because that was actually a pretty good play of getting bullied for being, like, kind of Jack in the Box and then bringing it. It's pretty smart. In any other show, a character just getting run over and so perfectly wrapping around a tire like that would be impossible, but we're dealing in Uzumaki terms. I believe it. Just an absolute insane episode. I would say I enjoyed episode 1 more, especially because of how much I didn't know what I was getting into. The thing about episode 2 is it feels a lot more structured. Some people are going to say, how does it feel more structured? It's just insanity. But I'm starting to see the idea of how the town's slowly turning itself inside out or into a spiral, and it's causing for peak horror. It feels like I'm getting sucked into the Twilight Zone every time I watch this show, and I'm so excited to see how they're gonna do the second half, because I love the idea of such a short, sweet, to the point story that's not going to overstay its welcome, but just keep me absolutely creeped out for 4 episodes, basically the length of a movie. Thoughts down below. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring that bell, and like I mentioned, full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. Alright, so today we got Reese, Joseph Shirley, Andrew Lowe, Ryuji Gremery, Evil Twin 01, Canadian Me, Niku, Kiz, and we also have Sokin the Lurker. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care. Don't look at any spirals. Have a good one.